How about this? A top 25 matchup in the ACC that does not involve Clemson or Florida State. That is right. Miami going to North Carolina. This is the 7:30 Eastern ABC game. Great piece of news for this conference. It's kind of on the brink. Teams are trying to get out. Well, guess what? It isn't just Clemson and Florida State carrying the load anymore. Louisville's really good. Duke's really good. And oh, by the way, Miami and North Carolina both enter this game as top 25 teams. The spread, I should mention, North Carolina -3.5. The over-under set at 57. Of course, as great as it is to celebrate both these teams being in the top 25, let's also call a spade a spade. If Mario Cristobal knew how to take an E, we wouldn't be talking about these teams as a top 25 matchup. We would be talking about this as a top 15 matchup and an undefeated matchup between two really good teams. Instead, Mario Cristobal, Miami don't take the knee. They lose to Georgia Tech. We know what happened last week. And listen, credit to Mario Cristobal, credit to his offensive coordinator, Shannon Dawson. Everybody's kind of owning what happened on last Saturday against Georgia Tech, but it doesn't change the fact that it was a crushing loss. And I don't think and I think it also kind of overshadows the fact that not only would this be an even more high profile game, but also that Miami is actually a very good football team. And I think because they've been a little bit off the radar, and certainly because of what happened last week, I don't think they get the credit for just how good they've been through 5 games. As a matter of fact, I saw this stat, and I think it's going to surprise some people. Do you know right now, there are only 2 teams in all of college football that are in the top 10 nationally in both total offense and total defense. One is the Oregon Ducks team that we just talked about. The other, the team coached by Oregon's former head coach, Mario Cristobal, the Miami Hurricanes. That is right. Miami, the top 10 offense in college football, a top 10 defense, the number 1 rushing attack in the ACC. This is a balanced team. This is a talented team. Tyler Van Dyke is playing much better. And again, that loss last week overshadows that this has been a really, really, really good football team. Now, from the North Carolina perspective, I think we kind of know what it's about, right? Drake May is going to be a top 5 pick in the next NFL draft. Is he the number 2 pick? Is he the number 5 pick? We can discuss that in April. But he is a really good college quarterback. Not a great season statistically. 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, but he is completing 72% of his passes. And it is worth noting that his most dangerous weapon, Tez Walker, he did not get back at his disposal until this past week. Tez Walker, we all know the narrative there. He was ineligible. Now he's eligible. 6 catches, 43 yards in his debut. And oh, by the way, you listen to Mac Brown, he's going to be more involved as time goes on. Now, in terms of this game, I think what'll be interesting is this. I know I just said that Miami is a top 10 defense nationally, which they are. But the thing that stands out to me is this is kind of a styles make fights game, almost like USC and Notre Dame, which we just talked about. And what I mean by that is that while Miami is very good on defense overall, if they do have a little bit of a weakness, it is probably in the secondary. This is the 44th ranked pass defense in college football. That's not bad, but it's not great. Obviously, last week they needed to make 1 of 2 plays against Georgia Tech to beat them. They could not after they fumbled that football. And then, oh, by the way, on top of that, in the game that they probably faced the best quarterback they've seen all year, Connor Wigman, Texas A&M, they gave up 330 yards passing. So I suspect that North Carolina will be able to move the ball through the air. And I'll be blunt, I think Miami is able to move the ball both through the air and on the ground. Now, this isn't previous North Carolina teams that can't stop anybody, but it is worth noting a few things. One, Tyler Van Dyke's been really good this year, was not great last week, 3 interceptions. But in the 4 games before that had just 1 interception total. So last week was more of an aberration than anything else. And then on top of that, the run game is just elite. Mario Cristobal, we know his background, we know his narrative, offensive lineman, offensive line coach, wants to dominate the line of scrimmage. And that's what they've done so far with, again, the number 1 ranked rush offense in the ACC. And so when I look at this game, listen, you want to take Carolina at home? That's fine. You want to take Miami to pull the upset? That's fine. But if I were betting this game, if I was on a side, I'd probably just take the over because you have 2 elite offenses, 2 offenses that both rank in the top 15 nationally, 2, frankly, probably future NFL quarterbacks, skill positions, talent everywhere. And while I get that the Miami defense has been pretty good, the secondary is the biggest question, and they're going against the best quarterback that they have seen all year long. So go ahead, give me the over of 57. I think this is like a 35-32 type game, 35-31, one way or the other. Don't have a strong lean. I guess if I had to pick, I'd choose Miami, but I think the best, smartest play is probably the over.